Okay, I want to start today with a little word association game. If I throw the name Floyd Mayweather at you right now, what is the very first image that flashes in your mind?
For me,
Yeah,
and honestly, probably for 90% of the population, it's a stack of
a
cash.
stack of
It's a
cacts.
guy standing on a private jet,
Mm.
maybe wearing a tracksuit that costs more than my car, holding a literal brick of $100 bills to his ear like a phone.
Exactly. It's the flash, it's the money team, it's the shouting at press conferences, it's the persona. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night regarding this guy. If we strip all of that away,
Yeah, take away the Bugattis.
take away the Bugattis, take away the Hublot watches, take away the Instagram antics, we are left with a set of numbers that are, frankly, statistically impossible.
They really shouldn't exist in professional sports,
Yeah.
not in a sport as brutal as boxing.
50 wins, 0 losses,
15 now.
27 knockouts, and just to add to the sheer absurdity of it all, approximately $1.67 billion in career revenue.
That revenue number just stops you in your tracks, doesn't it? But, looking at the research we have today, the money is almost a byproduct.
Yeah.
It's a symptom. The zero, that 50, and that is the true anomaly.
And that is exactly what we are here to unpack today. Welcome to the deep dive. We are looking at the science of money. And I want to be clear, we aren't just doing a biography of Floyd Mayweather Jr.
No, this isn't a he was born here, he did this kind of story.
Right, we are conducting an investigation.
Right. The mission is to figure out how one man managed to stay undefeated for over 2 decades in a sport that is literally designed to break you.
It's designed to break you.
Boxing is a sport of attrition. I mean, the history books are crystal clear on this. Eventually, everyone gets caught.
Everyone.
Ali got caught.
Yeah.
Tyson got caught. Sugar Ray Robinson, the greatest of all time in many eyes, got caught dozens of times. Floyd never did. And to understand why, we have to look at the source material we've pulled together. His professional records, the fight statistics, the legal history, and all the extensive biographical data.
And I think we have to start by acknowledging the central tension here, because reading through this, it feels like there are really two Floyd Mayweathers.
Oh, for sure.
There's Pretty Boy Floyd, the defensive genius who came up from nothing, and then there's Money Mayweather, the business mogul who figured out how to monetize hate.
It's a fascinating duality. You have the artist in the ring and the shark in the boardroom. But I don't think either of them exists without the environment that created him. And when you look at the early days, that environment was incredibly volatile.
So let's go back. Before the billions, before the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, we're talking about Grand Rapids, Michigan, and a kid named Floyd Joy Sinclair.
That's right. He was born with his mother's last name, Sinclair. He didn't take the Mayweather name until a bit later. But genetically, I mean, boxing wasn't just a hobby for this kid. It was essentially his DNA.
It was the family trade.
It was the family business, 100%.
The lineage is actually ridiculous when you map it out. You have his father, Floyd Sr., who was a legitimate welterweight contender. He actually fought Sugar Ray Leonard.
And gave him a decent fight, too, before getting stopped. Floyd Sr. was a slick defensive fighter in his own right.
Then you have his uncles, Jeff and Roger. And Roger Mayweather wasn't just some club fighter. He was a 2-time world champion.
Roger was known as the Black Mamba, a devastating puncher, very aggressive, completely different style than Floyd Sr. So Floyd Jr. is born into this, royal family of Michigan boxing.
But we have to be careful not to romanticize it. This wasn't a polished academy with shiny equipment and, protein shakes.
Not at all. This is a hard knocks education in the most literal sense of the phrase.
Yeah, the sources paint a really grim picture of his early childhood. We're not talking about just being working class or blue collar. We're talking about deep systemic poverty. He spent time living in New Brunswick, New Jersey with his mother.
In the Hiram Square neighborhood, which was a very, very rough area at the time.
Right. And he talks about living 7 deep in one bedroom. I mean, just pause and think about that. 7 people in a single room.
No privacy. No space.
Sometimes no electricity because the bills weren't paid. And there's this one detail from the biography that really stuck with me. It's just so visceral. He recalls coming home from school as a little kid and finding used heroin needles in his front yard.
It creates a very specific picture of the world he was navigating, doesn't it? His mother struggled with addiction. He had an aunt who died of AIDS related to drug use. It was a chaotic, dangerous, and completely unstable environment for a child.
And in the middle of all this chaos, you have his relationship with his father, Floyd Sr.
Which is, well, Complicated feels like the understatement of the century.
Beyond complicated.
Extremely complex. Floyd Jr. has gone on record many times saying his dad never really did dad things. There were no movies, no trips to the ice cream parlor, no playing catch in the park.
The relationship was transactional.
Purely transactional. And the currency was boxing. The gym was the only place they connected. Floyd Jr. said, quote, "I got whippings all the time." He was incredibly hard on him.
But then you look at the interviews with Floyd Sr., and he contends that he did everything he could to protect the boy. He says, "I didn't deprive my son. The drugs I sold, he was a part of it. He had plenty of food. He had the best clothes."
Which is such a heavy thing for a father to admit, right?
Yeah.
That his illegal hustle was what kept the family afloat and that he feels justified because of it. It just shows you the desperation of their situation.
It creates this intense pressure cooker. Boxing became the only outlet. The gym was the only place where things made sense, where there were rules.
And there's that famous anecdote about his grandmother that I think really sums up his entire trajectory.
Oh, I love this story because it's such a sliding doors moment.
It really is. So young Floyd, he's looking around at all this poverty, and he tells his grandmother, "I think I should get a job. Maybe work at a fast food joint, help out with the bills."
A normal kid's impulse.
A totally normal impulse. And she looks at him, dead serious, and says, "No, just keep boxing."
She saw it. She saw the ticket.
She saw the lottery ticket. She recognized that this was the one way out. And I think that's where the defense-first mentality really gets forged. For Floyd, boxing wasn't a game. It wasn't a sport for glory or for fun.
It was survival.
It was a survival mechanism. He dropped out of Ottawa Hills High School to focus entirely on this. When you have no safety net, when falling means going back to 7 people in a bedroom with no lights, you can't afford to take unnecessary risks. You can't afford to get hit.
And that segues perfectly into the technique, because not getting hit isn't just a mindset. For Mayweather, it's a literal science. We need to deconstruct the crab style.
Or the shoulder roll, as it's often called. It's the signature of the Mayweather family, taught by his father and polished by his Uncle Roger.
I've tried to do this in the mirror, and honestly, it feels completely unnatural. You have to keep that lead arm remarkably low, right? Which feels like suicide in boxing.
It does. It goes against all traditional teaching. In a standard stance, you have both hands up by your face, elbows tucked in, protect the chin at all costs.
Right.
In the Mayweather stance, the lead arm, his left arm, is actually down low, draped across his midsection, protecting the liver. His right hand is up by his chin. But the magic, the real secret, is in the lead shoulder.
He tucks his chin behind that big left shoulder like a turtle hiding in its shell.
Exactly. He raises that lead shoulder high. So when an opponent throws a straight right hand, which is usually the most dangerous punch, Floyd doesn't need to block it with his glove. He just rotates his torso slightly.
And the punch just slides
It
off.
slides right off the shoulder. It's like water off a duck's back. And here's the genius part. Because he's twisting to deflect that punch, his body is loading up potential energy like a coiled spring.
So the defensive move sets up the offensive one?
Perfectly.
Yeah.
His right hand is now in the perfect position to fire back with a counter. It's a mechanism of deflecting and countering in one single fluid motion. He twists to the rhythm of his opponent's punches.
And that's why they called him Pretty Boy in the amateurs.
That's the origin. It wasn't because he was vain or thought he was good-looking. His teammates gave him that nickname because after a 3-round amateur fight, he had no scars. He wasn't bleeding. He wasn't swollen. He looked pretty because you literally couldn't touch him.
The stats back this up in a way that is kind of terrifying. We have CompuBox numbers here. And for those who don't know, CompuBox is the system that counts every jab, every power punch, every single thing that happens in a fight.
They've been the gold standard for decades.
Since CompuBox began tracking punches, Floyd Mayweather is the most accurate puncher recorded, and he has the highest plus-minus ratio in boxing history.
Let's break that plus-minus down for a second because it's so important.
Please do. In basketball, plus-minus is how much your team outscores the opponent while you're on the floor. In boxing,
It's a gap between the percentage of punches you land versus the percentage your opponent lands on you. So if you land 40% of your punches and your opponent only lands 10% of theirs, your plus-minus is plus 30.
and Floyd's is the best ever.
By a mile. It's not even close. He hits you and you hit air. It's the statistical proof of the hit and don't get hit mantra.
It's discipline. I think that's what people miss. To stay in that stance, to trust that shoulder roll when a 200-pound guy is trying to take your head off, that takes a level of discipline that is hard to comprehend.
It takes nerve, but it also takes a massive chip on your shoulder. You have to have that me against the world mentality. And I think that chip was solidified in 1996.
The Atlanta Olympics.
The Atlanta Olympics. This is the origin story. This is where the professional mindset was truly born.
So Floyd dominates the amateur ranks. He has an incredible record, something like 84 wins and 6 losses at the time. He wins 3 Golden Gloves championships.
Yeah, his final amateur record was 84-8. He goes to the Olympics as the favorite, the guy everyone is watching from the U.S. team.
And he's destroying people.
He's on a tear. He beat a Cuban, Lorenzo Aragon, in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And that was huge because the U.S. hadn't beaten a Cuban boxer in 20 years.
Yeah.
He looked completely unstoppable.
Then comes the semifinal against Serafim Todorov of Bulgaria. And reading the account of this fight, I mean, it makes your blood boil a little bit, even decades later.
It's one of the most infamous decisions in Olympic boxing history. It was a complete robbery.
The referee, Hamad Hafez Shuman from Egypt, actually raised Floyd's hand at the end of the fight.
He did. He was in the ring holding Floyd's arm up.
Yeah.
He, the referee, thought Floyd won. Everybody in the arena thought Floyd won.
The referee raised the wrong hand.
He raised Floyd's hand, but the announcer declared Todorov the winner on points. The scoring was just bizarre. The U.S. team protested immediately, claiming the head of boxing officials, who happened to be Bulgarian, had intimidated the judges.
Even the American judge on the panel, Bill Weikerl, resigned over this. He wrote a letter saying, and I'm quoting here, "I refuse to be part of an organization that continues to conduct its officiating in this manner."
Wow. When a judge resigns in protest, you know it's bad. That is how blatant the robbery was.
And Floyd's reaction was so pivotal. He didn't just cry about it or throw a tantrum. He analyzed it. He said, "You know and I know I wasn't getting hit."
And that's the key. He realized that the system was fallible, the judges could not be trusted. In the amateurs, you rely on points. In the pros, Floyd decided he would never, ever leave a fight in a position where the judges could take it away from him.
So you either knock the guy out,
or you dominate so thoroughly, so completely, that even a corrupt judge couldn't possibly deny you. That bronze medal was a bigger motivator than a gold one ever could have been.
So he takes that insult, turns pro. And this is where we enter the pretty boy era. This is the late 90s, fighting at 130 pounds, super featherweight. And I want to pause here because people who only saw the later fights remember Floyd as a guy who moved around a lot, a defensive specialist.
Right, the guy who won on points.
Well, young Floyd at 130 was mean.
This is, in my opinion, the most exciting version of Mayweather. He was aggressive. He had knockout power in both hands. He wasn't just a defensive wizard. He was a destroyer. He was walking guys down and taking them out.
He wins his first title in 1998 against Genaro Hernandez. And Hernandez was no slouch. He was the #1 ranked super featherweight in the world.
A legit champion.
Yeah.
And Floyd just dismantled him. Stopped him in 8 rounds. Hernandez's corner threw in a towel. After the fight, Hernandez said, "He is a true champ." That was the passing of the torch.
And with that win, Floyd became the first 1996 U.S. Olympian to win a world title.
Ahead of guys like David Reed and Antonio Tarver. He was the first and the best of that class.
But if we want to talk about the masterpiece, the fight that really put him on the pound-for-pound throne, we have to talk about Diego Corrales, January 2001.
This fight is legendary. For anyone who thinks Floyd was boring, you have to watch this fight.
You have to understand the context here. Diego Chico Corrales was terrifying. He was 33-0 with 27 knockouts. He was a monster.
He was also physically huge for the weight class. He looked like a skeleton at the weigh-in, but by fight night, he had rehydrated up to 146 pounds. Floyd came in at 136.5.
So he's got a 10-pound weight advantage on Floyd. And there was bad blood, right? This was personal.
Very personal. Corrales was facing domestic abuse charges at the time. And Floyd, somewhat ironically, given his later history, which we will absolutely get to, dedicated the fight to all the battered women across America.
He said, just like he beat that woman, I'm going to beat him.
And he did. I mean, it wasn't even close as a demolition. Floyd knocked Corrales down 5 times.
5 times.
Corrales, this big, heavy hitter, couldn't land a thing. His corner actually stopped the fight against his will because he was taking such a beating.
The stats here are just hilarious. Corrales landed 60 punches total in the entire fight.
He landed single digits in every single round. It's a CompuBox record for futility. Floyd didn't just beat him, he dismantled him emotionally and physically. It was the perfect synthesis of blistering offense and impenetrable defense.
That's the fight that solidified his claim as the best fighter in the world.
Absolutely. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. He moves up to lightweight, 135 pounds, and runs into Jose Luis Castillo.
April 2002. This is the asterisk on the undefeated record, depending on who you ask.
This is the one. This is the fight that people who dislike Mayweather always point to.
The decision was unanimous for Mayweather, but the crowd booed loudly. HBO's unofficial scorer, Harold Letterman, had Castillo winning.
And you can see why. Castillo made it a dogfight. He was relentless. He cut off the ring, he banged the body, and the punch stats showed Castillo landed more power shots. A lot of ringside observers thought Floyd lost that fight.
Floyd had an excuse, though, a pretty significant one. He claimed he had a torn rotator cuff in his left shoulder going into the fight.
And usually we roll our eyes at fighter excuses after a tough fight. Oh, my hand hurt, my back hurt. But here's the thing that gives it credibility. He signed up for an immediate rematch.
No tune-up.
No tune-up. Just 8 months later, December 2002, let's do it again.
And the second fight.
Completely different. A healthy Floyd used his footwork, he stayed off the ropes, he used his jab, and he won a clear, clean, unanimous decision. It proved his ability to adjust. If you showed him a puzzle, even if it stumped him the first time, he would solve it by the second.
So he clears out the lighter weight classes, he's the man. But he's not a global superstar yet. He's not Money Mayweather. That transformation happens when he moves up again to welterweight.
It happens around 2005, 2007. And I think the catalyst, the fight that showed him the new business model, was Arturo Gatti.
Gatti, Thunder, the people's champion. Everyone loved Arturo Gatti.
Everyone loved him because he bled. He was a warrior. He would take 10 punches to land one big one. He was all heart.
And Floyd, well, Floyd was not kind in the build-up. He called him a C-plus fighter.
Which is such a deep insult to a world champion and a fan favorite like Gatti.
It was brutal, but then they got in the ring in Atlantic City, Gotti's home turf, and Floyd made him look like a C-plus fighter.
It was a humiliating beatdown. He landed 168 punches to Gatti's 41. It was so one-sided that Gatti's corner had to stop it. This was Floyd's first major pay-per-view headline, and I think he realized something profound in that moment.
He realized he could be the villain.
And that being the villain pays.
And that leads us to the pivotal moment, the De La Hoya fight, May 5, 2007. This is where the business model flips completely.
The Golden Boy versus Pretty Boy. This is the fight that broke all the pay-per-view records at the time. 2.4 million buys. But the real story, the genius move, is what happened in the boardroom before the fight.
This is where he left his longtime promoter, Bob Arum, in Top Rank, right?
Correct. And we need to explain why this was so revolutionary. For decades, the promoter held all the power. The promoter gives a fighter a guaranteed purse, say $5 million. The promoter takes all the risk, but they also keep all the upside if the fight is a massive hit.
Floyd said, no more.
He famously turned down an $8 million guarantee to fight Antonio Margarito. Instead, he paid a fee of $750,000 to buy himself out of his contract. People thought he was insane.
He bet on himself.
He bet on himself. He founded Mayweather Promotions. He realized that if he owned the show, he kept the profits. He didn't want a salary anymore. He wanted the equity. He wanted the back end of the pay-per-view.
So when the De La Hoya fight generated that massive revenue, Floyd wasn't just paid a flat fee. He took a cut of every hot dog sold, every ticket, every single PPV buy.
Exactly. And the fight itself, it was close. A split decision win for Mayweather. Oscar was active. He had the jab working early, but Floyd took over the second half of the fight. But the result almost didn't matter as much as the narrative that was built.
This is where Pretty Boy officially dies and Money Mayweather is born.
It is. He realized that people would pay good money to see him lose.
Being hated is profitable.
It's more profitable than being liked sometimes.
Yeah.
He leaned into the arrogance, the cash flashing, the entourage, the money team. It was all a calculated business strategy.
And right after De La Hoya, he validates his new status by fighting Ricky Hatton.
The undefeated versus undefeated match. The British fans invaded Las Vegas for that fight. It was incredible.
Oh, the atmosphere was electric. They were singing Blue Moon. They were drinking the bars dry. They were absolutely convinced that Hatton, with his relentless pressure, was going to maul Floyd.
And for a while, Hatton made it rough. But then, in the 10th round, Floyd produced the check hook.
I remember watching this live. It was one of the most beautiful, violent things I've ever seen. Can you break down the mechanics of that punch? Because it looked like magic.
It's pure physics and timing. Hatton is charging in, head down, as he always does, just pure aggression. Floyd, instead of backing straight up, pivots on his lead foot, like a basketball player pivoting, and spins out of the way to his left.
While moving backwards.
While moving backwards and sideways. As he's pivoting out, he throws a short, compact left hook that catches Hatton flush on the chin. Hatton's own momentum carried him face first into the padded turnbuckle.
It was poetry in motion.
That knockout solidified him as the undisputed king. And then, in a move that only he could make, he retired. Briefly, of course. But that retirement and comeback pattern became part of the mystique. It created scarcity, made his every appearance an event.
So let's talk about keeping that zero, the 50 arrow. Because after he came back, there were moments where it looked like the zero might go. It wasn't always a walk in the park.
No, absolutely not. The biggest scare, the moment everyone held their breath, came in 2010 against Sugar Shane Mosley.
Round 2?
Round 2. Mosley was past his prime, but still had explosive power. He lands the chopping right hand that buckles Floyd's knees. I mean, his legs turned to jelly. For a second, he was gone.
I remember watching that. The whole arena just gasped. It felt like, this is it. This is the moment. He's going down.
He had never been hit like that in his entire professional career. But he didn't go down. And this is what separates the great from the legendary. He instinctively grabbed Mosley's arm. He held on for dear life. He cleared his head. And then
He dominated.
he won every single second of the rest of the fight. It was incredible. He didn't just survive the storm. He came out of it, downloaded Mosley's data in that moment of crisis, and completely neutralized him for the next 10 rounds.
Then there's the Victor Ortiz fight in 2011, the sucker punch, or the protect yourself at all times punch, depending on whose side you're on.
Let's unpack that, because it's so controversial.
Yeah.
Ortiz, frustrated, intentionally headbutts Floyd. It was a blatant, dangerous foul. He practically jumped into Floyd's mouth.
It was dirty, no question. The referee, Joe Cortez, rightly calls time. He docks Ortiz a point.
Then Ortiz gets weirdly apologetic. He goes over and hugs Floyd. He might have even kissed him on the cheek.
Yeah, he was doing way too much. It was bizarre.
He hugs him, steps back, but his hands are down by his waist. He's looking over at the ref. But the ref had already signaled for the fight to resume.
And Floyd sees the opening.
Left hook, straight right. Ortiz is out cold before he hits the canvas.
Now, I have to play devil's advocate here. Was it legal? Yes, technically. The ref said fight. But come on, is that really sporting? It feels cheap.
It feels cheap to the viewer who wants a fair duel, a noble contest. But to Floyd, as he screamed at Larry Merchant after the fight, "Protect yourself at all times," it perfectly encapsulated his philosophy.
He's not there to be polite.
He is there to win. He is
Oh,
not
yeah.
there to be your friend. He is there to exploit your mistake. If you drop your hands in a prize fight, you pay the price. Period.
And then, the big one. The one everyone waited 5 years for. The one that was supposed to save boxing, Mayweather versus Pacquiao, 2015.
Fight of the century.
Financially, yes, it shattered all the records. 4.6 million pay-per-view buys, $400 million in revenue, just insane numbers. But as a fight,
That's who.
honestly, it was kind of a snooze fest for the casual fan, wasn't it?
It was a tactical clinic, but it wasn't a thriller. Look, everyone wanted a war. They wanted Gaddy versus Ward. They wanted blood and guts. They wanted the drama of a back-and-forth brawl. But Floyd doesn't fight wars. He fought a defensive, technical fight. He controlled the range with his jab. He nullified Pacquiao's angles and explosive bursts. He made it his kind of fight.
Pacquiao claimed he had a shoulder injury afterwards.
He did, a torn rotator cuff, which was confirmed by surgery later. And that certainly didn't help him. But in the ring that night, Floyd made Manny miss all night long. He landed the cleaner, more effective shots. It just left fans disappointed because the hype promised fireworks, and Floyd delivered a chess match.
But that disappointment didn't stop the money train.
Not at all. It was his biggest payday ever.
And then we get to number 50, the quest to pass Rocky Marciano's 49-0 record. And he does it against Conor McGregor.
The crossover event. The UFC superstar versus the boxing legend.
Many boxing purists hated this. They called it a circus. They said it was degrading to the sport to have a 49-0 champion fight a guy who was 0-0 in boxing.
It was a circus, but a very, very lucrative one. And you had Floyd, 40 years old, coming out of retirement to do it.
And yet, here's the stat that always gets thrown around. Conor McGregor landed 111 punches. That's more than Manny Pacquiao landed.
That stat is so misleading, though. It's a classic case of numbers lying. You have to look at how he landed them and what Floyd's strategy was.
So he changed the script for this fight.
Completely. He didn't fight his usual game. For the first time in maybe a decade, he walked his opponent down. He was the aggressor. He let Conor punch himself out.
So it was a rope-a-dope strategy, almost.
A version of it. He knew McGregor wasn't conditioned for 12 rounds of boxing. The pacing is different. The energy expenditure is different. So watch the early rounds. Floyd has his guard high. He's moving forward, taking some shots on the arms and gloves. He's letting Conor work, knowing that the gas tank was going to empty.
And it did.
It did. Around 9 or 10, McGregor was exhausted. And that's when Floyd stepped on the gas and started landing clean, hard shots until the referee stepped in and stopped it.
50-0. He passes Marciano.
And he collects a check for a reported $300 million for one night's work.
This marks the end of his professional career, but not his time in the ring. We then enter the exhibition era, and this is where things get weird.
It gets surreal. He goes to Japan on New Year's Eve 2018 to fight a kickboxer named Tenshin Nasukawa.
A huge star in Japan.
Right, a massive star.
Yeah.
A brilliant, undefeated kickboxer. But he was much, much smaller than Floyd. And of course, he wasn't allowed to kick.
And Floyd just destroyed him.
She showed up late, looked like he barely trained, smiled the whole time, and destroyed the kid in one round. 3 knockdowns. Nasukawa was literally crying in his corner. It felt cruel, honestly.
And Floyd danced a little jig and took home a reported $9 million for about 2 minutes of work.
Easy money. Then he fights a YouTuber, Logan Paul.
Which is just another level of bizarre.
And that fight, well, there was no winner announced. It was an 8-round exhibition. Logan Paul survived. Floyd said afterwards, "He's better than I thought." But let's be honest, if Floyd wanted to end that fight in the first round, he could have. He carried him. It was an entertainment product, not a competitive bout.
And then the John Gotti III chaos.
Right, the grandson of the famous mob boss. That fight ended in a literal riot in the ring. The ref stopped it because of trash talk. Gotti kept swinging, and both corners stormed the ring. It was just ugly chaos.
And it seems like he's not stopping. The source notes mention a planned exhibition against Mike Tyson in spring 2026.
Which is just, well, it shows that the appetite for the spectacle, for the brand, is still there.
But we have to pivot now, and this is crucial. We can't talk about Floyd Mayweather without talking about the dark side. We'd be doing a disservice to the deep dive mission if we ignored the extensive legal record documented in the source.
We have to. We have to be impartial reporters here, as the source dictates, but we absolutely cannot ignore the facts. The money persona is fun for TV, but the reality behind the scenes has some very dark chapters. Floyd Mayweather has a documented history of domestic violence.
It starts early. In 2002 and 2004, there were suspended sentences, court-mandated impulse control counseling.
But the major incident, the one that resulted in jail time, was in 2010. It involved Josie Harris, the mother of 3 of his children.
The accusations were very serious. Battery and theft. And this time, he didn't get a suspended sentence.
No. In 2011, he pleaded guilty to misdemeanor battery and no contest to 2 counts of harassment. He was sentenced to 90 days in jail. He ended up serving 2 months in 2012.
That's a significant mark on the legacy. It's not something you can just wave away. It's hard to separate the man from the fighter when the legal record is that explicit.
And it continued to haunt him. Years later, Josie Harris sued him for defamation for $20 million because he claimed in an interview that she was on drugs during the incident, which she vehemently denied.
And beyond the violence, there were financial legal issues too, which is just so ironic for a guy nicknamed Money.
The SEC came knocking. In 2018, he had to settle charges for unlawfully touting cryptocurrency without disclosing he was paid to do so.
This was the CentroTech ICO, right?
Exactly. He was paid to promote their initial coin offering on social media. He tweeted about it, saying things like, "Get yours before they sell out." But he didn't disclose that he's a paid promoter. That's illegal. He paid a hefty fine.
And then, more recently, the Ethereum Max lawsuit.
That was a pump and dump accusation. He and Kim Kardashian were accused of hyping up this obscure crypto coin so they could sell their shares for a profit when the price spiked. Now, that lawsuit was ultimately dismissed by a judge, but it paints a picture of his business dealings.
It fits the money persona, though, doesn't it? Chasing the check, regardless of the venue. Whether it's a boxing ring in Japan, a YouTuber in Miami, or a crypto endorsement on Twitter?
It does. It shows a pattern of high-risk, high-reward behavior, both in and out of the ring. He is always closing the deal.
So let's try to bring this all together. We look at the resume. 26 consecutive wins in world title fights.
Which is insane.
24 wins against current or former world titleists. 15 major world championships across 5 different weight classes.
And look at the list of names he beat. The best of his generation. Genaro Hernandez, Corrales, Castillo, Gotti, De La Hoya, Hatton, Marquez, Mosley, Cotto, Canelo Alvarez, Maidana, Pacquiao. It's a who's who of Hall of Famers.
That list is insane. Especially Canelo. People forget he schooled a young, undefeated Canelo Alvarez.
He took Canelo to school. Canelo is now considered one of the all-time greats, but Floyd made him look like a complete novice.
Yeah.
It was a boxing lesson, a majority decision, but most people who watched it saw it as a complete shutout.
So why is there still a debate? Why do so many people hesitate to call him the best ever, or TBE, as he calls himself?
It comes down to the style, the safety-first approach. I think boxing fans, deep down, crave blood. They want the drama of a knockout or a brawl. They want to see a fighter get knocked down and have to overcome adversity.
And Floyd denied them that drama.
He denied them that drama.
Wow.
Because he was too good. He was too disciplined. He gave them perfection instead of excitement. He turned a fight into a math problem.
He solved the problem every single time.
Exactly. And so there's a huge faction of fans who will always say he was boring or that he ran. But if you appreciate the sweet science, the actual definition of boxing, which is to hit and not get hit, he is the absolute apex of that art form.
He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2021. He topped the Forbes list of highest paid athletes multiple times, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2018. He basically wrote the blueprint for the modern athlete entrepreneur.
He did. He realized that the promoter makes the real money, so he became the promoter. He realized the sanctioning body fees for the belts were a waste of money, so he often disregarded the belts to focus on the big money match. He fundamentally changed the economy of the sport.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's look back at the journey. You have a kid from New Jersey literally dodging heroin needles in his front yard, with a father in prison for a time and a mother struggling with addiction.
A kid who was told by his grandmother at a pivotal moment to just keep boxing.
And he takes that advice, applies a scientific level of discipline to his defense, and turns himself into a billionaire brand.
It is the ultimate survival story. He built a fortress around himself. First, it was the crab-style defense to protect his chin in the ring. Then it was the money persona to protect his bank account and his business interests outside of it.
That's the aha moment for me, reading all this. The defense in the ring and the persona outside the ring, they were the exact same thing. It's all about control. Controlling the distance, controlling the pace, controlling the narrative, controlling the revenue.
He never let anyone else hold the steering wheel. Not his opponents, not the judges after 1996, and certainly not the promoters after 2006.
So here's the final thought for you to chew on today. In a sport that is so often defined by brain damage, by bankruptcy, by tragic endings, we see so many great boxers slurring their words, broke, forgotten.
It is the standard heartbreaking tragedy of the prize fighter. We've seen it time and time again.
Exactly. But Floyd Mayweather is rich, perfectly coherent, and undefeated. So ask yourself this. Is Floyd Mayweather the only boxer who truly beat the game? Or does that perfect, calculated, undefeated record come at the cost of the fighting spirit, the chaos that we as fans actually crave?
That is the question. Did he win the sport, or did he simply solve it?
Thanks for diving in with us.
Keep your guard up.